RDS, what are the biggest advantages when you use the RDS? It allows the replication across the different regions, right? So we covered what are the regions. So if you guys are not familiar with regions, then they're different. The North America region, South America region, the Central region, right? So those are different regions that we can probably show you right after the slide. I can log into the AWS account and I can show you. And again, if you already know, that's great. But we covered that different regions within AWS, and each region has multiple AZs, the availability zones, right? So if you're using the RDS, it allows replication across the region. So in case if one region fails for whatever reason, a disaster happens, the data is already replicated to other region and it can be picked up from the other region, right? A huge disaster recovery solution, right? And that's baked into the AWS architecture. It allows multiple AZ deployment for failover. So if you have a database and again, availability zone you should be familiar with, right? So within a region, you have multiple AZs. So if you don't have control over the AZs, by the way, right? You have the control over the regions. And the reason I say this, you don't have control over AZs, basically, the AZs are kind of hidden from the user perspective, and they have the round robin strategy that is implemented by Amazon. So you can define AZ1 or different AZs, but actually which physical location it's going to, you have no control over it. That's what I mean by not having any control over it. The mapping is hidden by normal users, right? And for obvious security reasons. Anyhow, so with the RDS, you can have a multi-AZ deployment for failover. So in case if one of the excuse me, one of the instance goes down on one of the AZ, you can still fall back to the other AZ. And you don't have to worry about it because it automatically switch over. You can also promote, excuse me. You can promote one instance of a database to pick up as the production. So when you have a database which has a read replica, and we'll talk about that, you can easily promote that node to a production ready node, right? What this does is basically if in case of failure on the production box, you do have a backup strategy where the other instance, which was just a failover or read replica, which was actually constantly updating the data on the read replica side, that can be actually picked up as and promoted to the production. Again, RDS is good for disaster recovery solution. And in case of something bad happened to a region, right? So you do have the RDS. The backups and the images can be actually pre-configured, or you can actually take a snapshot yourself, and this helps us a lot, right? So I'll show you what to do when we go to the AWS console, but you can actually take the snapshot and you can distribute that snapshot to different region, or you can actually erect a separate database using that replica, right? We use that a lot, right? So let's say if you have a QA1 environment where we are using a database, QA database, which is tied with the QA1 environment. Now, all of a sudden, let's say we hired some contractors, right? And this happened just recently. Those contractors, they want to actually work on a separate feature that's not going to be released on, let's say in about 2 weeks, maybe a month or so, and they have to do some R&D. You don't want to touch your QA1 database because that they might probably pollute and adulterate your database that your main QA team is using, which would hamper and prevent your regular releases. So what you do is you basically clone your QA1 database and maybe take a backup and then restore it somewhere else, and then actually give that to your contractors, and they can probably go ahead and start doing your research and R&D and stuff. And once that's ready, then they can actually merge it back. So this whole taking a snapshot and images of your databases easily allows you to actually have a very isolated and segregated environment for your other team members or maybe contractors, right? So again, a big advantage of using the RDS if you feel necessary, or if you want to use a instance of an AWS EC2 instance and install it, then you have to probably do a lot of things on your own, make a backup regularly, and then store it, and then save it somewhere, and then restore it. Using the RDS, it becomes much easier.